Again, we are back here with a new concept, that is agents of pollination, from the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And in this chapter, till now we completed the pollination, the definition of pollination, then the types of pollination or kinds of pollination. Students, please remember or recall your memory, that is the definition of pollination. That is nothing but the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. Okay, transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. And in that pollination, there are three types we can find here. Already we studied about this: autogamy, zytogamy, and then xenogamy. Already I told you these are very important for your examination point of view. Definition of pollination and kinds of pollination. For your exam purpose, these are very important. Please remember. And after this, individually we studied about the autogamy. What is autogamy? Autogamy means, you can see here, the transfer of pollen grains from the same flower of the same plant. Okay, that is autogamy. And here you can find the clistogamous flowers and then chasmogamous flowers and clistogamous flower. Definition is very important. Please remember, with exposed anther and stigma, that we call it as a chasmogamous flowers, and closed anthers and stigma, that we call it as a clistogamous flower. Please remember, and for your examination point of view, this is also very important. And next to that, here zytogamy. Here the same definition here we can see here, that is the transfer of pollen grains from anther of the one flower to the stigma of the another flower. Simple definition. Please remember this one also. And next to this, we'll find the xenogamy. This is also important. Here it is a transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of different plants. Okay, here the plants are totally different. And in case of zytogamy and in autogamy, you will not find any genetic variation, because exchange of pollen grains occurs in the same plant and in the same flower, so the genetic variation is very less over there. But when you come to the xenogamy, we will find the genetic variation, because the genes are from different flowers. The genes are from different flowers. So we can find the different flowers and different plants. So we can find the genetic variations. We can find here the genetic variations. Please remember this also. Then in NEET exam and CET exam they can ask. Please remember. And till now we completed the pollination, then kinds of the pollination and everything. Okay, the definition, everything. How the pollination is going to be carried, that is very important. How the pollination is going to be carried, and this is mainly done by the agents. Those agents we call it as a pollinating agents or agents of pollination. So many agents we can find here for the pollination purpose. In that pollination, there is abiotic agents are there, and then biotic agents are there. Abiotic means non-living, they don't have life, they don't have any. In abiotic factors there is no life. Okay, in that they mainly given air and water, or wind and water we can take. And coming to the biotic agents, here we can find the animals. Okay, and majority here we can consider with insects. Insects are the best example for biotic, and so many animals are involving, but still now biotic agents, majority insects are involving in the pollination. That we'll study in the next session. And here abiotic factors and biotic factors, among these two, the plants mainly prepare biotic factors. Plants mainly prepare biotic factors. They will mainly prepare for biotic factors. Okay, they mainly prepare for biotic factors. they will not prepare for abiotic agents because there is a so many reasons, but majority we can see here, abiotic factor or abiotic agents, what they will do here, the plants, there is a chance of pollination. It is a chance, it is not 100% sure, it is a chance of pollination. Pollination occurs here, but it is a chance, because probability of pollination is very less here. It is very less here because the direction of the wind is different. So the position of the plant is different, means the pollen grains will not reach their target. So it is quite difficult to reach the target or to reach the stigma. So plants mainly prepare biotic factors. Okay, but majority of the plants here, they are terrestrial. They are terrestrial, especially angiosperms. Especially angiosperms, they are terrestrial. And coming to the biotic factors, these are very important. These are very important for the pollination purpose. So the majority of the angiosperm plants, they will prepare for biotic agents. Okay, and abiotic agents, why they are not going to be choose? Because they are chance of factors. Either the pollination may occur or may not. But pollination chance is high in case of biotic agents. So plants prepare biotic agents. Okay, and for this purpose, the plants will release n number of uh, pollen grains. Okay, n number of pollen grains they are going to produce for a single ove or single ovary. They will produce n number of pollen grains. Okay, and among these two, we'll study one by one. In abiotic agents, uh, first we'll go through pollination by wind. Okay, there is a particular word used here, that is anemophily. It is not in your NCRT. Please note it. It is not in your NCRT. For your competitive exam purpose, it is useful. Okay, in NCRT they given only pollination by wind. Okay, it's correct. But the specific term we are going to be called it as a anemophily. Okay, okay. Here the first, what is meant by anemophily, or what is the wind pollination? Okay, in most of the plants, or they are terrestrial. In most of the plants, they are terrestrial. And if they are terrestrial, means they will prepare for abiotic as well as biotic factors. Majority they will prepare for biotic factors. But coming to the abiotic factors, there is two agents are there. One is air, another one is water. Among these two, the plants will prepare for air, or they will prepare for wind, because most of the plants are terrestrial. They are not aquatic, and few are aquatic, but majority of them are terrestrial. So water is not distributed all over, it is restricted. So for that purpose, they will prepare for wind pollination, because majority of the angiosperms are terrestrial, so they go for wind pollination. Okay, and that term, the pollination by wind, that term we call it as a anemophily. That term we call it as anemophily. Okay, coming to the first year, uh, plants possess here the important one, that is, uh, here the some character they should have. The wind pollinating flowers, they have some important characters. They should have some important adaptations for the pollination purpose. What are those adaptations? What are those adaptations? And this is very important for your examination point of view. Very important. So many times they ask the question, what are the characteristics of wind pollinating flowers? What are the characteristics of water pollinating flowers? For that purpose, it is very important, students. Please remember this. Please remember this. Okay, one by one I will tell you. First one, they should have well exposed stamen and large primary stigma. They should have well exposed stamen, so the chance of distribution of the pollen grain is very easy. if they are well exposed stamen, so the pollen grains can distribute very easily. Okay, that is one important character, please remember. Next, along with that, the plants should have feathery stigma. They must and should have feathery stigma. Feathery stigma should be there because just to receive the airborne pollen grains, just to receive the airborne pollen grains, they should have feathery stigma. They should have feathery. Okay, stigma should be well exposed. Stamen should be well exposed and stigma should be feathery. And coming to the next, the pollen should be lightweight. This is important. The pollen should be having lightweight structure. Okay, wait, sorry. Small. Okay, okay. Pollen should be lightweight. Important. Please remember, simple points are there. Those are very important. Okay, either they will ask for 3 marks. If they ask for 3 marks, then no. Okay, if they ask for 3 marks, then no problem. You can easily write the things. First one, what I told. First one, that is the stigma should be well exposed. Okay, so stigma should be feathery and stamen should be well exposed. And along with that, here the pollen grain should be lightweight. Their weight should be very light, so they can travel in the air. If the weight is heavy, then they are unable to travel in the wind or in the air. And next to that, non-sticky. Okay, if they are non-sticky, they can easily withdraw or they can easily remove from the anther. If they are sticky, they will completely settle on the anther only, so it is a less possibility of releasing the pollen grains. So they should be less or non-sticky. They should be non-sticky. They are should be lightweight. They should have lightweight. And then next to that, uh, here the single oval present here, either the single or all single ovary, but numerous flowers are packed here in the inflorescence. Numerous flowers are packed here. Inflorescence means the arrangement of flowers within the floral bud or on the floral bud. Okay, bunch of flowers we can find here, but there is a single ovary. Okay, or there is a single oval in the ovary, but enormous number of flowers are packed here. Okay, enormous number of flowers packed here. You can see in case of corn cob. Okay, if you observe the corn cob, we'll came to know that how they are arranged. For example, this is the corn cob. This is the corn cob. Here, the corn cob, and you can find the enormous number of seeds on there. Okay, seeds are present here. Seeds are present here. And here you can find the hair-like structures on the corn cob here, like this. These hair-like structures. These are all the well-exposed stamens and style. Okay, these are all the well-exposed stigma and style. They're all stigma and style. You can see here a lot of hair-like structures we can observe here, and in the middle they contain ovary and then ovals. Okay, corn cob you can take the example. Okay, with the help of wind, they are going to be pollinated. They are completely moving in the wind so that they can easily receive the pollen grains from one plant to another plant. Okay, that we can find here in case of uh, that corn cob. Okay, and then usually this air pollination or wind pollination majority occurs in grasses. It is very common in grasses. It is very common in case of grasses. Okay, those are in case this wind pollination occurs in grasses. Okay friends, I think these are all the points regarding wind pollination or pollination by wind. Okay, here are the important points you can see here. Characteristics of wind pollinating flowers. Simple points are there. The pollen grain should be lightweight and they should be non-sticky, and they have well exposed stamen and feathery stigma they should have. Okay, simple points. And inflorescence, here the flowers are packed. Okay, flowers are packed here. Okay, these are the simple points about the wind pollinating flowers or pollination by winds, and this term we call it as a anemophily. If the pollination occurs by the wind, that we call it as a anemophily. Okay, I think so you understood the concept about the pollination by wind. Okay, and next we'll move to next concept, that is pollination by water. This we call it as a hydrophily. As the name itself, hydro means water. Pollination by water, that term we call it as a hydrophily. Okay, and here usually in aquatic plants, usually in case of aquatic plants, this pollination occurs because in that, but in majority of the angiosperms there are terrestrial. Okay, few of them in the flowering plants, few of them they are aquatic. Okay, example they given here, that is Vallisneria and Hydrilla. We can see here. Okay, except for some aquatic plants. Okay, here the sentence, it is rare in flowering plants. It is rare in flowering plants, except some aquatic plants like Vallisneria and Hydrilla. In these cases, usually pollination occurs by water. Okay, and coming to the pollination by water, uh, in these cases, usually plants will not prepare for this pollination because the what is not distributed throughout, or in there it is not distributed in all over. Okay, it is restricted, and whatever the plants are present in the water, okay, or nearby the water, they will undergo for this type of pollination. But majority of the flowering plants are terrestrial, so this is not possible in case of flowering plants. And uh, here also they have some characters. Okay, the wind the like wind pollinating flowers have some characters. Pollen should be lightweight and then non-sticky, and such characters are there. And the same way, the wind water pollinating flowers, they are also have some characters that we'll study. Okay, that I will study. And here coming to the, I will show the another next slide. Okay, here you can see in seen usually these are seen in submerged flowers like Vallisneria and Hydrilla and Jostera, or it is also called as seagrass. Seagrass. Okay, it's also called as seagrass. And Vallisneria here and Hydrilla here and Jostera. And one point please remember, all the aquatic plants will not do their pollination with the help of water. For example, we can take water hyacinth. That's a terror of Bengal. How the pollination occurs in that plant? Usually either by the insect or by the air. Because the plant is not completely submerged in the water, they are exposed. They are exposed. They are present on the surface of the water. So they require wind or insect for their pollination. They require wind or insect for their pollination. Okay, that is the point. And coming to the water pollinating flowers, here they given one important example in your NCERT textbook. In NCERT textbook they given one important example, that is Vallisneria. Okay, Vallisneria, here the male flower and female flowers are different here. And here what happens, the female flower will reach to the surface for pollination. Okay, what happens here, female flower reach to the surface for the pollination purpose. Wait, I will take another slide. Okay, this is the empty slide. We can see here uh, how the in Vallisneria, how the pollination occurs here in case of Vallisneria. Here the Vallisneria is submerged. plant. It's completely submerged in the water. If you think, this is the ground level, and here is the plant, here this is the plant, here you can find the male flower, here you can find the male male or female, you can take anyone, and it is the female flower. There is a female flower here, and this is the water level. Okay, this is the surface of the water. Here what happens, the whatever the female flower present here, okay, whatever the female flower present here, and here the stalk is going to be coiled here. The stalk is completely coiled here. So during pollination, what is going to be happen here, the stalk is going to be uncoiled and the stigma is going to be exposed here. Okay, the stalk is going to be completely open and the stigma is going to be exposed here on the surface of the water. And in Vallisneria, what will happen? So in Vallisneria, the male flower, what will happen? Either it releases the flower or pollen grains to the surface of the water body. Once they reaches the surface of the water body, through the water current, the pollen grains will reaches to the female reproductive organ, that is stigma. Okay, this is in case of Vallisneria. Like this, like this usually the pollination occurs here. So what will happen here? This is the plant body, and female and male flowers are there, and female flower is somewhat, the stalk is somewhat coiled here. When during pollination, what will happen? The stalk is going to be uncoiled and then it exposed to the water body, and the male flower will produce the pollen grains, or flower itself is going to be released and it reaches to the surface, and through the water current these pollen grains will reaches to the stigma. Okay, this is the concept. Like this, there is a pollination occurs in case of Vallisneria. This is the type of pollination in case of Vallisneria. Okay, understood about this? If you are not getting, please watch the video repeated times. Okay, we'll came to know about the concept. And students, this is the thing. And coming to the next, another thing here you can discuss here, that is the pollination is in case of the water pollination, pollination by water usually occurs in case of pteridophytes and bryophytes. In the lower classes we studied, because and they are completely, they are not distributed, the pteridophytes and bryophytes not distributed throughout the all, they are not distributed completely, they are usually having restricted distribution. Wherever the water current is present, or wherever the water is present, in that region they are usually present, because they require water for their reproduction. They require water for their reproduction. For that purpose, they are not distributed all over, they are restricted. Okay, they are completely restricted. And coming to the next one, this is about the Vallisneria, the pollination in case of Vallisneria. And coming to the next one, that is in case of Zostera, or in case of what we call it in case of um, seagrass. How the pollination occurs in case of seagrass? Here, this is simple here. This is simple here. You can find in seagrass, what happens? The pollen grains are here ribbon like. The ribbon like pollen grains we can find here. Ribbon like pollen. And the seagrass or Zostera, it is completely submerged in the water. It is completely submerged in the water. So, uh, what will happen here? The whenever the female flower will release the pollen grains, okay, they release the pollen grains. At that time, they are ribbon like, and inside that only they are going to be transfer. They are going to be reach the female flower. Okay, once the male flower release the pollen grains, they will reach up to the female flower or to the stigma, and they are ribbon like. Here you can find the ribbon like pollen grains we can observe here in case of seagrass. Okay, in case of seagrass, ribbon like pollen grains you can offer see here. And usually this water pollination occurs in case of monocotyledons. In majority of the monocotyledons, pollination occurs by water. Okay, pollination occurs by water. This is the thing. Okay, only that much only they given about the Vallisneria and Zostera. And please remember the students, the pollination in case of Vallisneria and pollination in case of Zostera. Please remember, they can ask the question, explain the pollination in case of Vallisneria, or they can ask the question, write the characteristics of water pollinating flowers or air pollinating flowers. Okay, or write the explain the pollination in case of Vallisneria, how the pollination will occur. Okay, that is very important. Please remember. And coming to the characteristics of water pollinating flowers, what are the characteristics? Okay, what are the characters we can find here? Here the pollen grains are long and ribbon like. Here the pollen grains are long and ribbon like. And these pollen grains are well protected by a layer, that is mucilaginous covering or layer. Mucilaginous covering or layer. With the help of that, they are covered so that they are going to be escape from the wetting. Okay, because they are present in water. If the wetting occurs, if they are going to be holding more amount of water, means the weight is going to be increased. If the weight increases, the pollen grains will settle to the bottom, so they will not float in the water. If they will not flow in the water, means the pollination will not occurs. For that purpose, they have some protective layer, that we call it as a mucilaginous layer, we can find here. Okay, please remember. And in, already I told you, in majority of the plants, or in not the in majority of the aquatic plants, uh, pollination occurs by water. Okay, but in some cases, not in all the aquatic plants, the pollination occurs by only by water. No, it is not the point. In some plants, they are completely aquatic. They are completely aquatic, but the pollination will not occur by the water. Okay, for example, you can take here water hyacinth and then water lily. Water hyacinth and water lily. Okay, water hyacinth and water lily. What will happen? Either it will by the insect or by the air, because the flowers are emerged out from the water here. Water hyacinth and water lily, the flowers are emerged out from the water, and they are present above the water level, so they will not need any water for the pollination. They require another other agents for the pollination. For example, you can take air. For the pollination purpose, they can use the air, or they can use the insects. Okay, they are aquatic, still now they are aquatic, but they don't need water for their pollination because they're exposed. They're not submerged in the water, they are exposed. For that purpose, they require uh, insect or air for their pollination. Okay, and okay, these are all the points about the pollination by water, that is hydrophily. Hydrophily. And students, here the wind pollinating flowers and water pollinating flowers, they do not have that much of attractive flowers and the nectar, because no need to attract any insect for the pollination. Okay, flowers are colorful and they are colorful and they have nectar and everything. For what purpose? Just to attract the insect for the pollination purpose. But here they are not depend on the insects. They are depend on abiotic factors. So no need to attract anyone. So the wind pollinating flowers and water pollinating flowers, they do not have such attractive flowers and attractive that nectar. They do not have such adaptations because they don't require any biotic agents. With the help of abiotic agents only, they are going to do their pollination. Okay. Okay, students, and this is all what we studied: the pollination by the wind and pollination by the water, and I hope you all understood the points what I was explained, and I have covered all the points from the NCRT, and go through once through your NCRT, and came to know the concept, and you will came to know the concept. First you go through my video, and then later on you can go to NCRT textbook, and if the I think so all points are covered here, and if you have any doubts or any queries you can ask through WhatsApp. Okay, and this is about the agents of pollination, and still now in the next concept we'll go through pollination by biotic factors, that is entomophily. Okay, pollination by water we call it as a hydrophily, pollination by wind we call it as anemophily, and pollination by the insect we call it as a entomophily. Okay, that we'll study in the next video lecture, or next class we'll study about that. Okay, thank you students.